All right, everybody.
Awesome.
Let's talk about this here news. I got a text message just a moment ago, literally within a few minutes of going live in the show, from Crowder, and he was just like telling me what happened, and the story is absolutely insane. You may have heard about the Loudoun County scandal, where there was a student who was harmed. An arrest was made, and I didn't realize this because we actually talked about this a little bit yesterday during the show, but apparently, telling the context of this major breaking news story, which is having a serious effect on how the AG is acting and responding to parents, Crowder got a strike over this. They've suspended him for a week. And I have this email. Check this out. This is what YouTube has written. We write again on YouTube's behalf regarding, I believe this is their legal counsel. Mm-hmm. We write again on YouTube's behalf regarding your client, Steven Crowder. YouTube has repeatedly instructed Mr. Crowder regarding its hate speech policy and warned him against continuing violations of that policy through content he uploaded to YouTube. YouTube specifically informed Mr. Crowder that videos he uploaded show a pattern of recklessly targeting the LGBTQ+ community for abuse and insults. It warned that further uploading of content that targets, insults, and or abuses the LGBTQ community would result in additional penalties. On September 30th, Mr. Crowder uploaded another video that YouTube has determined continues his prior conduct. The video, entitled Special Guest Alex Jones on Great Reset and Joe Rogan Triggers Leftist Again, contains a segment that targets the transgender community in an offensive manner. For example, by indicating that trans people pose a rape threat to women. Consistent with the recklessness provision of its hate speech policy, YouTube has removed this video from the service and assessed a strike against the Steven Crowder channel. Per YouTube's strikes policy, this results in a 1-week upload freeze for the channel. Further violation of YouTube's hate speech policy will result in additional penalties. One additional note. When an account is restricted from using YouTube features, the channel operator is prohibited from using any other channel to get around the applicable restrictions. Your client may not use another YouTube channel, such as CrowderBits channel, to bypass the upload restrictions on the Steven Crowder channel. Such conduct may subject all of his channels to termination. Very truly yours, counsel for YouTube. Now, I don't know exactly what Steven said or how he framed it, but I cannot imagine that it would warrant a takedown. It's a major breaking story. I think it's particularly dangerous that we're in an era now where opinions are editorial. There's an editorial guideline for big services that you are not allowed to express yourself online if your opinion doesn't fall in line with the editorial guidelines of YouTube.
You know, this is disturbing on many levels because this is about a specific documented case when children got hurt. I mean, this is a big case. This deserves to be talked about, but it can't. And what Crowder said, I don't know. I don't watch him. I've been critical of him before, but to have his voice kind of eliminated here is a very big deal. There deserves to be a conversation. There deserves to be some kind of debate here, and we're being denied that. People are not hearing about this very important story, which they should. And that to me is the biggest travesty of injustice personally, because at the same time Crowder does his show, whether you like it or not, you have to understand the mainstream media gets away with showing horrible stuff on YouTube, whether it's gore, whether it's stories that are more hyperbolic, more sensational, more gross, more detailed,
Lies.
and they got caught many times lying through their teeth.
I want to say two quick things. For one, you guys, louderwithcrowder.com. You can join the Mug Club. You can help support them. They're going to be doing their show on their website. This is why we have the websites. This is why Crowder's got his website. That's why we got our website. So that in the event, maybe we'll get a strike for simply talking about this and me reading what the email said. And that's why we have the website up, so that we can at least have something active in the event we get hit by YouTube. But we're not going to just sit back and accept it. So the story is very simple. There was in Loudoun County a father, this is the Daily Wire reporting this, NewsGuard certified, all that good stuff, reporting that a child was assaulted. We'll keep the language family friendly, but it was in a bathroom, and there was an arrest made. Crowder talked about the story. To be fair, I don't know exactly how he framed it, but still, regardless, this is a major breaking news story. We have more developments on this that we're going to be talking about, and I think it's particularly dangerous. What more needs to be said that you haven't heard me say 50 billion times? When you homogenize the political space, you don't end the opinions of these people. They exist. They're alive. They're going to live for 50 more years. Between, how old are the people who are paying attention to politics right now? Let's say they're 18 to 70. Okay, so we're going to have a long period of people holding these views they want to express. Censoring them just makes them find alternative means. Crowder, of course, isn't going anywhere. He's going to keep doing his show on his own platform. All YouTube is doing is hyper-polarizing the space by shutting down these conversations.
What I think is interesting, one, is that apparently Two Spirits are fair game because it's not listed. It's not listed up there. But second is this is the end result of what's been happening for many years, where you turn an insult into abuse. Right? It says abuse and insults. Like, how are those even the same things? Abuse is chronic, ongoing, and it prohibits you from doing the thing that you're supposed to do, whether it's live life or have a job or get education. An insult is just part of life, right? It's a part of life. So what they're saying now is that they're criminalizing, effectively, or prohibiting insults.
It sounds like,
but they didn't even name who these are minors. None of their names are released. This is not targeting any specific individual.
Apparently,
right?
it's just making an insult about the LGBTQ plus community.
but they were saying it's repetitive insults, which I guess you could consider abuse.
No. Abuse has to prevent you from doing something that you ordinarily would want to do, like live a healthy, productive life.
But hold on. See, the problem with that is they argue when I'm insulted, I get scared and I shut down. So, their delicacy is not my concern.
Right. This is like second and third order effects of us transitioning away from an honor culture to a victim culture, where victimology gives you status, and so now you can claim status by being, first it was abused, then it was harassed, now it's insulted, and soon it'll be even thought improperly.
I'm sorry. Nobody complained about this. So this must have been
somebody internal.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think Crowder. I don't think any individual was named in this story.
Well, again, it says about the community itself, so you can't even insult. Like if Dave Chappelle came in here and did one of his bits, they'd get your show taken down, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Which is crazy because, I don't know, Dave Chappelle never seemed to be too far outside of
if
acceptable
CNN
norms.
came here and did a segment, this channel would be terminated immediately for like half of their content that they put out there that's deemed, again, just based out utter lies.
That would be the one time we appear on the front page.
Yeah.
They'd be like, see, we're fair. Look, the Timcast IRL is on the front page. I'm like, yeah, because Don Lemon was the guest.
I would love to have Don Lemon as a guest. I would love to have Anderson Cooper. I had many interactions with him in parking lots that were pretty interesting, to say the least.
Wait, did you say
parking lots?
I almost made a joke that might get the channel.
I actually would love to have a sit-down conversation with Anderson Cooper.
Hell yeah. Bring him
course.
on.
Of
It'll be
course. Why not?
extremely entertaining, to say the least. My conversations with him were pretty entertaining already. But again, there's this duplicity here. There's this hypocrisy here because, again, they're playing by different rules. I think that, the independent community is being micromanaged to the point of absurdity. There's these rules and there's these unspoken rules. We don't know the exact circumstances, but where do you draw the line when talking about documented specific cases and stories about actual victims that need to be heard? I mean, imagine being this girl or this father already. We can't even get into the details here, but there was allegations of cover-up already happening. Now this is happening on top of that. Imagine being such a victim to the point where your story can't even get out there to the general public. No one should even hear your story. That, to me, is even the bigger crime here.
Look, it sounds Soviet. I have there's a friend of mine that I've known for years, that I've hung out with in various countries, who's from Ukraine, and these are the stories that I would hear about, when to be fair, like the Soviet Union collapsed when we were kids, but to be like, oh yeah, this is what my parents warned me about. This is what they said, how it started, and this is what they were scared of. It's things like this. Certain things aren't allowed to be talked about. Just like the story itself can't be talked about. The concerns of the parents can't be talked about.
It's weird because YouTube is kind of like a common space now, because it's still a private company, but
it's
kind of
common
like
carrier.
It's like going out in the street and talking in the middle of the road with your friend.
In Poland, information against the state was criminalized. If you gave out flyers and pamphlets that went against the state, went against the commies, you would get jail time. You would get put into the prison camps. Some people would get tortured for simply just expressing political ideas. And I think we're not at that level yet, but we're at a moment where it could be a very easy, slippery slope. And also, when I mean parking lots with Anderson Cooper, don't get ideas like dirty-minded Jack here. You can see the videos. You can see the videos on youtube.com/wearechange.
What he means
we are
is
change. Anderson Cooper. We are change. Anderson Cooper. You'll see the videos maybe if they come up.
What he means is, where were we at the DNC, or was it?
This was a number of times. I talked to Anderson Cooper a number of times.
I'm with Luke, and Anderson Cooper's walking around. I was like, oh hey, it looks Anderson Cooper, and then Luke runs up and goes, why did you intern at the CIA? Are you familiar with Project Mockingbird? And he was like, What are you talking
Well,
about?
yes, first of all.
Well,
but
he was
what?
all friendly. He was all cheery, talking to everyone. I was like, "Hey, I came off nice. All right, I didn't come off that aggressive at first. I always kind of, get there. Hi, Anderson. How you doing? And then, you got to get in there with some serious questions. I think it's important.
Your example about in Poland and communist countries, I'm a free speech advocate. I'm not an advocate of tyranny. I'm not an advocate of communism. I'm going to get nailed on this later for being some sort of communist totalitarian now. But I at least understand the logic behind suppressing speech that criticizes the state that's in power. Like, that makes sense to me. It's like, we want to maintain our power over everybody. So yeah, you can't say this.
It's a bad thing, but
it is a bad thing, but I understand the logic there. This I don't necessarily understand. We're talking about extreme.
Well, this is the slippery slope to that.
Extreme minority cases here.
I think the problem is I didn't see what Steve did that got him banned, and he might have been insulting people again. And if he does it over and over,
Hold
again,
on.
I've been in a group when I see somebody get made fun of over and over and over, and then they start crying, and then they feel like they can't be themselves, and they go home and they hit themselves in the face because they're so upset.
Okay. Now let's talk about every single Trump supporter who's been labeled a slack-jawed yokel who's been mocked and belittled endlessly on mainstream TV, and then they just say white men are not a minority group, and I'm like, I'm literally talking about like the viral. There's a black woman who does these really great videos where she just rebuts all of these lies because there's an eclectic group of people who either voted for Trump or conservative who are just berated and insulted all day, every day. Yeah. And this is exactly what I said to Jack Dorsey. Why are you singling out one community for special protection and not any other?
That's a good point.
But that's what I was saying. He said, look, when it comes to the transgender community, there's a high suicide rate, so we're very partial to that. And then I said, what about any other community with high rates of suicide, like police, for instance? My understanding, military. No, they don't care. Now, to be fair, I'm pretty sure they do have a rule against disparaging veterans. No joke. I don't know exactly how that works, but I'm pretty sure they don't enforce it.
The internet is built off of insulting people. You look at the algorithms, you look at Twitter, you look at Facebook. What do they promote? What do they put on their timeline that's carefully curated for you? Drama. Fighting, always at the top. I think it's a part of a larger divide and conquer agenda. But if you're going to start policing, insulting people, that's another level of absurdity that there's no going back from. And Jack, you can understand the logic, but understand this is the beginning of a lot more bigger problems.
Don't attack me like I'm supporting it, dude. Good grief.
I don't, but I'm just trying to add another point to what you were saying, that it begins with this kind of absurdity that you're questioning. I don't understand why they're doing it. You're going to understand it once it ratchets up. And it comes to a point where you go to jail for expressing a thought and an idea.
Indeed.
Someone super chatted us just now. They said that Crowder did a skit about California women's prisons handing out condoms.
Oh my.
So maybe that I don't know if
For
that's
sure,
it.
that's part of it.
But I don't know if he actually did that. I'm just saying
He's like a bee that refuses to stop stinging.
Well, if you're gonna go after him, you got to go after Dave Chappelle.
No, you don't have
to. And then if you go after Dave Chappelle, you're going to go after Jimmy Kimmel. And then after Jimmy Kimmel, you go to Jimmy Kimmel. You have to cancel everyone by these rules.
If Dave Chappelle had a YouTube channel and he kept making fun of a certain type of person,
Dave Chappelle does. That's what Dave Chappelle does.
Channel. He does it on like Netflix behind the scenes on a paywall.
Yo, Netflix has a YouTube channel. These clips are all available on YouTube.
But he doesn't. Steve goes on like every day and does this stuff with a holstered gun in his pocket.
No, he doesn't.
He's like all like. He's very like an oppressive force.
If that were true, Ian, they'd have given him a strike on every single video he did. Not one.
Unfortunately, it's admins making decisions at will. It's not like a robot.
I gotta sit here and listen to the psychotic ramblings of MSNBC, Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow, the hate speech, the insults, the vile, disgusting behavior. And you know what? I get it. I'm an adult. Yet Crowder does one segment on a news story, and maybe he was doing a skit regardless. What about when you get was it Jimmy Kimmel doing blackface?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They do all of these things, and I think it's very, very obvious what this is. If you are outside of the controlled establishment narrative, you are fair game. Everyone else is fine.
I think you made a good point that going hard on minorities is really cracked down on, but going hard on people that they think are majorities is fine.
Well, as soon as America becomes the white minority nation that everyone is projecting, do you think that they're going to apply those same standards to white people?
Depends on if they want to make them slaves and persecute them or not.
No.
And who are they?
Ian, there's people
no.
on the mainstream media literally arguing that you can't be racist to white people because of the way that they were born, and that you could get away with whatever you want to get away with because they have privilege. That to me is
insane.
Exactly. But that is allowed. That is promoted. That is put in the algorithm. That is put in the rankings. That is showed to people far and wide with unfair privileges to multinational corporations that get the advantage over independent media. And still, somehow independent media is kicking their butts, still breathing for life, and now they're going to be nitpicking on what you can and cannot say. It's ridiculous. If they're going to go after Steven Crowder like this, go take down the Netflix YouTube channel for hosting Dave Chappelle. Go take down Jimmy Kimmel. Go take all of them down, and then maybe you could lecture us about what is rightfully to do about abuse and hurt. Get the bullcrap out of here.
Jimmy
I'm
Kimmel.
sick of it, and it's ridiculous. I don't give a damn what his name is. He doesn't deserve
James.
me to even pronounce his name right.
That's fair.
I'm sick of him. I'm sick of him. He's literally doing a song and dance. That's Colbert, but they're literally shilling to the point where they're spreading dangerous fake news about people lining up in the hospital not being able to get help because of poison control, ivermectin use,
Look at the
when that's
Covington
not true
kids.
at all.
Bill
Exactly.
Maher went after children. All these
Yeah.
pundits went after kids. These are minors. Fine. You want to
Yeah,
say
just the one last point I want to make is like education is so important. And when I mean education, I mean the education industry. A lot of this stuff stems from 2011 Dear Colleague letter for Title IX, where they made it so that all universities had to extinguish not just abuse, not just harassment, but people being made uncomfortable. So now it's been 10 years where these universities are forced to do this or lose their funding, where they set up bias response teams and secret hotlines to report on fellow students that said something that made you feel uncomfortable, and those kids get sanctioned, and there's no hearings, and there's no trials, and there's no, representation, and there's no facing your accuser. It's been 10 years of institutionalizing that type of thought process and behavior, and people who were seniors then are 32-year-old now. They're executives at these corporations, and they're driving the agenda because in 2011 they issued this thing, called Dear Colleague letter, that changed college campuses, and now here we are seeing the fruits of that 10 years later. Free speech suppression, all these things.
I'll go on YouTube and type bully fight sometimes, or like bully revenge, because there's some like fetish I have where I like seeing a kid that's getting bullied like turn it around and fight the bully and win.
Yeah,
that's always been like good for that kid. But now there's a thing pops up and it says, if you need the suicide hotline, call this number. If you search for bully revenge on YouTube, there's like a hotline number that pops up. That's new.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.